Hi, this is Mike Elliott. You're watching a CEO Live executive interview. In this episode, we're going to be talking to Mr. Riggs Eckelberry. He's the CEO of OriginOil, which has a patent-pending electro-water separation process that rapidly and efficiently removes organic material from large quantities of water without the need for chemicals. OriginOil is a publicly traded company listed on the OTCQB under ticker symbol OOIL. Good afternoon, Riggs. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Mike. It's a pleasure.
To begin, could you give us a company overview and some brief background on OriginOil?
Well, Mike, the company started in 2007, went public in early 2008, and its original goal was to transform algae into an industrial product that could be used for biofuels and various other beneficial chemicals, feeds, fertilizers, nutritional products, etc. By 2008 and early 2009, we realized our real breakthrough was in the area of, and truthfully, the need was to somehow get that algae out of all that water. There's lots of people growing algae. There's lots of people who are happy to process it, but it's very hard to get the algae, which is microscopic, out of all that water. And we ended up making that our specialty. Now, by 2012, we suddenly found out that petroleum, which is nothing more than old algae, could easily be removed from water as well using our same electrical process. And so we started doing that, and we're actually commercializing that in the Frac Water space. And finally, recently, we learned that we could really help clean up fish ponds throughout the world, reduce the ammonia and the terrible viral and bacterial invasions that they're going through. So now we have these three major areas, and also the cleaning of human sewage is just beginning.
And can you explain the company's potential with OriginOil's next generation technologies in the oil and gas industry or the aquaculture market?
Sure. Well, in oil and gas, what we are very simply is a great first stage of cleanup of either produced water, which is the water that is flooded into wells to get the water out, or the frac flowback, which is the water that's jammed at high pressure and high volumes into wells to sort of crack the shale formations. We can quickly remove, without the stuff having to settle in big tanks, we can remove the bad stuff, which actually for the operators is often good stuff since it involves petroleum. So we're helping the operators get more petroleum out of their water, and we're making the water quickly safe to be resent down the well, which then allows less usage of water, less trucking of water, and so forth. Very beneficial to the environment. And operators love the savings. So we have a technology that is a very high-speed way to clean up that frac water. We have a business model of really private labeling and licensing our technology. We don't intend to sell a whole lot of ourselves aside from trial sales. And so we've begun to name original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, who will take our technology, embed it in theirs, and take it to the marketplace under their brand. And that's how we plan to get widely distributed in the oil and gas market.
That sounds great. And what about aquaculture?
Well, Mike, this is a recent discovery, and that is that our technology is able to quickly remove the ammonia that's so hard to remove from fish ponds. It's a very expensive process, often takes a lot of time and real estate. And we can quickly handle that. And also, we have a solution to the terrible viral and antibiotic outbreaks. We move very quickly in this area. With each new market, it happens faster. And we already have a permanent showcase being set up in near the Salton Sea down south here, where there's a lot of fish farms that are really struggling to get back into business. We think we can help.
And next, I'd like to get an overview of this patent-pending electro-water separation process. Could you tell us what it is that makes it unique in the industry?
Sure. Well, what makes it unique, frankly, is the very high flow-through rate. And the reason that's so is that we use a series of long tubes, and at the first step, the contaminated water is fed into these tubes in parallel, so all going through at the same time. And the tubes are of such a length that our electropulsing can be gentle because there's a lot of distance that the water can travel and be sort of pulsed. And what that causes is the organic matter changes charge and actually, clumps together, is attracted to each other. And this creates clumps. That's phase one, called electrocoagulation. We move into phase two, which is now we have a big tank with a set of anodes at the bottom that when electricity is applied, it bubbles up gases and micro bubbles to push all this to the top, and then it's raked off. So it's a very simple, rapid system, two-part system to first electrocoagulate and secondly electrofloat the material.
And it seems like we'll be eating healthier fish in the near future thanks to this process. How has the fish farming industry latched onto your technology?
Well, they're enthusiastic. We initially tested this using water from a farm in the Salton Sea, and they would truck it in. They'd be taking their fish to market in LA, and they drop off the feed water, and we found it worked very well. We then went on site at a major farm near desert, near Palm Springs in California, and we tested it there. And the operator, Rocky French, who's been a longtime veteran, he says, if we had this in the 70s, it would have changed everything. So it's a dramatic change. They've gotten enthusiastically behind it. We're now in touch with major fish farm operators throughout the world, especially in Asia, where there's this terrible early maturity syndrome where the fish die before they're able to reproduce because of these viral outbreaks, causing shrimp costs to skyrocket throughout the world. And so we're able to do that, and there's a lot of excitement. We expect to be make commercial sales as early as in the fourth quarter.
And another increasingly scarce commodity is fresh water. How do you see OriginOil's role in protecting this critical resource as you move ahead in the future?
You're so right, Mike, because we know that, for example, here out west, the Colorado River watershed is drying up. As early as 2015, the Lake Powell hydroelectric generators could shut down from the water being too low. So that's a really dramatic situation. And what is happening is, first of all, you've got the frac water situation. While it's not a huge percentage of total usage, it is an additional one that is further stressing the agricultural and urban uses of water. And we can actually reuse that water and not have it be such a burden on populations. Now, also recently, we've had some big breakthroughs in processing human liquid sewage, first of all, by sanitizing it, and secondly, turning it into water that can feed algae. So you have this beneficial relationship between algae, which can be a fuel, and the sewage water, which is being generated all the time. And that's a wonderful thing because a lot of biofuels are made from plants like mustard seed, for example, that need a lot of water. Well, algae is happy to take dirty water, wastewater, and we're in the forefront of that.
Next, I want to get into the oil and gas sector. How has OriginOil's experience with harvesting algae for the energy industry evolved into the oil and gas area?
Sure. Well, of course, we don't use algae in oil and gas. We use the electrical process and simply apply it to a different organic material, which is petroleum. So what we've begun to do here is we've got some early OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, who are licensing our technology to embed into their end-to-end system. So let's say someone has got a very good nanofilter process for making water very clean, but they could really use something up front to reduce the amount of fouling that these filters are going to go through. So we deliver to them a water that's as much as 99.9% clean of organic material and 98% clear of suspended solids. And that makes their task much, much easier. So they're integrating it into their process. Mike, we're not going to go into 3 or 4 different industries ourselves. It's impossible. Even a large player couldn't do it. So we're going to accomplish that through licensing.
You recently announced a zero capital commercial oil and gas water treatment system, or pay by the gallon program. Could you explain how this works and how it's going to help OriginOil build market share? Yes.
Well, we learned as soon as we started commercializing these systems in the oil and gas industry, we learned that large capital sales, let's say a $2 million system for 100 gallons per minute, let's say, would take a while to get approved. Even if the operator had the cash, they have a capital investment process that takes months. So to speed it up, we did what is very common in the oil and gas industry, which is, look, we'll finance the machinery, we'll deliver it, it'll remain the property of the bank. And meanwhile, you'll just pay us by the gallon, we'll operate this machinery. As is very, very popular, and we expect a number of operators to start using that immediately because they have nothing to lose.
Surely this is a major market for recycling frac water. How has your recent experience in this area been received by the industry?
Certainly. Well, Mike, the industry has recognized by now that the way to clean all this water is through a non-chemical method that is being called electrocoagulation. That's exactly what we do, although we have a sort of next generation version of it. Other players with EC, as they call it, technology include Halliburton and Ecosphere. We have a significant difference in that we don't try and sell equipment against those guys. They're huge, but rather license it to all the other independents who perhaps don't really want to get in the clutches of Halliburton and have to pay all those fees. So most of the industry is independent. Most of the industry is very happy to get an independent solution, and that's what we provide to the marketplace. So we're getting lots of incredibly positive feedback. We have companies making commitments, and we think it's going to be huge.
It makes a lot of sense, I'm sure, and definitely filling a huge and critical need. Next, I noticed you have alliances with quite a variety of advisory board members at OriginOil, including Dr. Gerald Bailey, former president of Exxon Arabian Gulf, Dr. Thomas Ulrich from Idaho National Lab, and others. How does this enhance your business?
Well, again, we can't know every industry that we're involved with, so we use these veteran advisors to get us up to speed and to help us network into the markets. Jerry Bailey has been unbelievably helpful. We did a tour in San Antonio and Houston earlier this year that was very successful, and he was personally involved right there, demonstrating to the industry and the media. So he's a dedicated advisor, and he's really showed us the ropes. Dr. Ulrich, of course, is critical to our Department of Energy partnership, where we have not only benefited from their expertise, but we've also been helping them through an in-kind program develop their algae biofuels equipment and processes. So he's really helped smooth the way for that. And as we enter more markets, for example, aquaculture, we expect to do more of the same.
And last, in your opinion, what aspects of OriginOil do you think investors are really most interested in?
I think that what they should be interested in is the extraordinary leverage of a single technology in multiple marketplaces. So you have technology that really, would have paid for itself just with algae, and now it's sort of getting all these bonus markets. So extraordinary leverage, and as a result, a lot of return on investment, and without a whole lot of capital beyond our regular, commercial expenses, because we don't have to capitalize, we don't have to build large manufacturing and sales channel networks. Instead, we leverage others, and we reap the benefits of all that, what you call mailbox money.
Riggs, that's all the question I had for today. Were there any comments you wanted to add before we close?
Mike, I really appreciate it. I love the in-depth questions, and I encourage all of your listeners to subscribe to the OriginOil newsletter, where they will get personal updates from me, as well as, of course, our breaking news. That's OriginOil.com, of course.
Riggs, thanks again for taking the time to join us, and we look forward to meeting with you again soon.
Thank you, Mike.
We've been talking to Mr. Riggs Eckelberry. He's the CEO of OriginOil, which has a patent-pending electro-water separation process that rapidly and efficiently removes organic material from large quantities of water without the need for chemicals. OriginOil is a publicly traded company listed on the OTC under ticker symbol OOIL, and you can find out more about them by visiting their website at www.originoil.com. Thank you.